We are making progress. All right, we created the Get Users Projects API route. We created the individual project boxes, project name, description, and status. All right, and now we are going to move on to doing our add a project, and I'm going to change this from drop down to accordion because that is the Chakra UI component that we are going to use. All right, so we're going to, in this video, work on the add a project accordion, and we're going to style it the way that we want, and we'll add the onChange function for the project name and description and some validation. And then we will go ahead and start the onSubmit function, but because we don't have the backend work done, it won't connect to the backend, okay? But this will be our last UI heavy video before we move to the backend for project creation. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. I want just kind of a box like this. I want it to be similar, like the same size as the projects, okay? But I want to be able to click on the header, and then I want the drop down to appear here, okay? And then in the drop down, I want a project name and description, and then when I create the project, I want it to add the new project to the list, all right? So that is what we're going to work on in this video. All right, let's go to the accordion section of Chakra UI, all right? And we can see that we have a nice section here. I don't like this one because you can tell it's not closing unless I open the other one, which isn't really how I want it to work. So I'm going to do the expand multiple items at once. All right, I also am going to want, when I open it, I'm going to want, so right here, you can see that they're using their own button here with an animation, and it's cool, but it's not exactly what I want on my wireframe design, okay? And a lot of times when you're at work, you're going to be tasked with modifying and customizing something, so we're going to try to stick with this as much as possible, okay? So let's look at it. We want as well, then when we open it, we want to know whether or not this accordion drop down is open to display the plus sign or the X sign, okay? So we want to go and look to accessing internal state, okay? So I'm going to copy this one here, all right? And then I am going to make a new component for it, all right? So I'm going to make a folder first for projects, all right? And then I'm going to make a page or a component within it. I'm going to say create project accordion.tsx. Now, if you looked at the design, you'll see that we have a lot of accordions that we're going to be making. So in a perfect world, I would not have it specific to my create project. I would just make an accordion dropdown that's styled the way that I want and then use props to pass in the data. But that sounds like a lot of heavy lifting for my brain right now. So I'm going to make one, right? And I'm going to hard code it the way that I want. And then when it comes time to make more and more and more, like when that gets taxing, or maybe after I have all of them done, then I'll refactor to use one accordion component. But that way I'll know what each of the accordion components need and what props might change. All right. That's just how I'm going to do it. But if you want to plan out your components a little bit better, you can. All right. So we are going to create project accordion, and we are going to make this component and return, and then we're going to paste in our accordion text from Chakra UI, and then we are going to export default create project accordion. All right, let's go ahead and import all of the things that we need to import. I'm going to just add all missing imports at once. Box was imported incorrectly, so I'm going to go ahead and add box here. All right. And then we need to import from icons. So let's go ahead and go to icons. Icon. Maybe icon usage. Okay, yeah, so this is gonna be what we need. And it looks like we're doing the add icon and the minus icon right now. All right, looks good. All right, so then let's go to our projects page, and underneath our projects mapping, we are going to add create project accordion. All right, now let's go and take a look. All right, so it looks like we have what we need here. They already have it where an icon changes based on if it's open or closed. They have 2 drop downs though, and that's not what we want. So now we have to just go edit the create project accordion to match what we are looking for, okay? All right, so it looks like this entire top accordion item is not what we want. So I'm gonna get rid of it and save, and there we go. All right, this looks better. Okay, now we can go ahead and get rid of that import because we're not using it. All right, so let's look at our wireframe design. So it should say add a project. So I'm going to put this here, add a project. All right, then I want to, you can see that the icon's over here. I want to add it to the left instead. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to try to paste it up here and see if that works. And look, it does. All right, I'm going to want more of a gap though between the two. So I'm going to, here I'm going to say margin left. Let's try 4. See how it looks. Let's try 3. All right, 3 looks better to me. All right, so now we have that. All right, but we want the icon to actually be the X icon. So let's go ahead and try to find it. Close icon is what it's called. So we're going to change this to close icon. And then we have to change this import up here. All right, let's take a look. So I click on it, it goes to the X, I click on it, it closes. All right. I think I want my close icon to be a little bit smaller. That looks good to me. All right. In future iterations, I would probably try to add an animation there or something, but right now I'm not super, like, I don't need it. Okay, so let's try 9. All right, let's try 11. Let's try 12 again. All right, so 12 seems to be what, they need to be the same size as to not move the add a project over. So I'm gonna just leave it as both of them are 12. Okay, so we have that part. So now we want this to look more like a box, okay? Like our projects. So we're gonna kind of trial and error in order to figure that out. It looks like we already have some borders, but it looks like those borders are gray and not exactly what we want. So we are gonna try to just add, let's see if I can add a border to my accordion button because that looks like what I want. Okay, that is what I want, so yay. So now it looks better already, but you can see the padding is a little bit off. So I'm gonna try to add some padding, maybe padding 2 and see if that works. Nope, that does not work how I want it to. All right, so we're gonna try here and see if we can add padding 2. All right, that looks pretty good. So now let's go ahead and inspect and see if they're the same height. All right, 60, 58. All right, so I might need to just add height equals 58 pixels. Maybe button. Okay, that looks good to me. So yeah, sometimes you just have to try around, try it out, see what's gonna work. All right, so that looks good in my opinion. So now let's go ahead and work on the what's it called? The body, okay? All right, I also wanna try to move the border here because I kind of want it to like the border to expand too, so we can test out different things. So I'm going to add it to accordion item. And I actually like that better, but I want it still to have the border on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a border top here and see how that looks. That looks good to me. Okay, I feel pretty pleased. All right, so I actually really don't like this close icon, so I think I'm going to change it to minus, and I'm going to pretend that my designer told me to do that. But as I am my designer, I'm going to do it. So I like that a lot better. So we're going to leave it like that. Okay, so now I need to get rid of this text here, and we want our form to be there instead. So let's take a look at our wireframe. Our wireframe has a name and description. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to go to the login, and I'm going to copy one of my username form element, and then I'm going to paste it in, and I'm going to import all missing imports. Right. All right, so we have some editing still to do. Okay, so we are going to, this isn't for username, this is going to be project name. Okay, so we need to add a state here for project name. So const, I say name, set name equals use state, empty string to start. And then let's import this from React. All right, so this value then is going to be name. All right, so now let's figure out, it's going to be a mandatory element. We need to make sure that a name exists when you create a project. So we're going to say const is air name. And then we're going to say name is equal to an empty string. Okay. We also are going to then change this to name and name. Okay. So the other part that we want is we want to say const submit clicked name, then set submit clicked name, because we don't want it to be an error just anytime. So we're going to say use state false. We don't want it to error anytime. We only want it to error if submit clicked name is true and the name is blank. Okay. The next thing that we need to do is we need a function called onChangeName. And we're going to say const onChangeName. All right, and then we're going to first do set submit clicked name to true, except we did not click submit here. My brain is failing me, so we're going to pass in an event, and we are going to say set name to event.target.value. All right, so this looks good so far, so let's take a look at how we're doing. I add a project and we see my project name and my form field here. Okay, so let's go ahead and we are going to copy this and we're going to paste it below. We don't need to worry about is that invalid or error because the description we're saying is optional. We also want to use the text area component from Chakra UI. But we do want that to be type text, and we do want these things. So we're going to copy this down. All right. Looks like type is not a thing because it's a text area. Duh. All right, so now let's add these states, but now for description, okay, which we don't need the submit clicked one because description is optional. All right, so then let's copy this. And we are going to set the description. All right, and then we can change this to value is description, and then on change the description. Okay, let's take a look. All right, that's looking better. All right, we forgot to change this. Beautiful. All right, let's head back to our login page so we can get a button. All right, let's add that there. And we want to import from Chakra UI. And we need a function for on submit. So const on submit. I'm going to just do console.log name and console.log description for now. All right, we also want to set submit clicked name to true. All right, and then if we go back to edit this, then we want to set submit clicked name back to false. All right, let's give it a try. So I open it up. I'm going to do test name. This is my test description, and then click submit. So then I should go here and I should see test name, and this is my test description. Perfect. Okay. All right, so we want then to have it add the project that I just added. We want to have it add it to my list of projects. I also want to close my accordion on submit. So I need to figure out how we do that as well. So let's go back to the accordion documentation and let's try to read through it. All right. So this seems like this could be a thing. Ooh, that's kind of pretty. Space or enter will toggle. Okay, so we're saying Chakra UI accordion close on click of button. All right, so I'm gonna have to read through this a little bit more. It looks like maybe the index prop is going to help us. So I will go ahead and have that ready for our next video, but we are gonna go ahead and continue with submitting this form. All right, so before I submit, I want to, I'm gonna add here margin bottom 2. Let's try margin bottom 4. That looks a little bit better. And then let's add it to this guy here, margin bottom 4. Nice. And it looks like that's already good. Okay, let's look if we missed anything. Nope. Well, this should be called create project. All right, nice. Okay, So we want to add it to our list of projects. So in order to do that, we are going to need to add a state here. So we're going to say const projects set projects equals use state. And then we're going to start off with data. Okay, it's import use state. So we're going to get the projects from the loader data, and then we are going to set our initial state for our projects as that. Okay, we want to then pass our projects and our set projects to our create project accordion component. So we need to add those as props. So it's going to be projects set projects, and that is going to be of type props. So now we need to define our type props. So projects is going to be an array of project. So we need to then go and export our type project here. So we can then import it here. All right, and then set projects. I'll show you a little trick on how to get this. You get the type by going over and hovering on the set projects when it's created, and you can go ahead and copy that type and save it. So data needs to be imported. All right, it looks like I have a typo here. And type data is missing from feels like we set up our state wrong here. Oh wait, because it's not type data, duh, it's fake projects. All right, so then let's go ahead and change that. It will be though when we call the backend. So I was one step too far. Perfect. Now we can get rid of this unused import. Okay, so then on submit, we want to add our project, okay, to our list of projects. Okay, so we can do set projects. We're gonna have it be an array. Then we're gonna say dot, 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 projects. So we wanna spread out all of the projects that currently exist in projects, and then we are going to add an object to that where it's going to be name is name, description is description, and status is to do. Okay, so if we did this correctly, which hopefully we did, we should be able to say project G, and then say this is the description of project G. Create project, and we should have seen it pop up here. Okay, so on submit, set projects. So I'm gonna go ahead and I want to, oh, because we're mapping fake projects, we actually wanna map our projects now. Woo, and here's G. So let's try again just to make sure. H, create project, and now we have H come in. Awesome. All right, so after we successfully, so let's add a little note here. So we would call create project route on API to add project to database. Okay, then on response, update projects state with list of projects returned from API. Okay, so we'll have to change this a little bit on response. Okay, but that's pretty good. So on response, then we also want to clear our, so we're gonna say set name equal to empty string, and then set description equal to empty string. Okay, so let's try this. We're gonna say project I, create project. Nice. All right, so we're getting an error here, so that means we also need to set submit clicked name back to false. Okay, so let's try this again. Project J, and this is the description of project J. Click. Perfect. All right, so we still need to close this then when we click submit, but I'm going to do some more research to do that. I think we're in a pretty good spot then. Let's go back to our Trello board. We created the add a project accordion component. We created an on change function for project name and description, and we did create the on submit function for the add a project form data. Okay, I am going to wait to check that off though until we do some of these other backend tasks. Okay, so I will see you in the next video.